Alright, what's going on, guys? My name is Logan. I run the West Desert Shooter channel, and today we're going to talk about the brass prep that I do for my brand new 7mm SAUM brass. This is pretty run-of-the-mill for any type of precision rifle cartridge I'm reloading, so let's get to it. I previously made this video last night. I did 50 pieces, which are sitting back there. Those are fully prepped, and it just ran long. It was boring. Nobody's going to watch the whole thing, so I'm going to try and condense this down a little bit into a little more processable video. So here's what dies and tools I'm using to get my brand new brass prepped. Now I still have 50 pieces of brand new brass from Atlas Development Group. Taking a look at this stuff, it shows up in their bright finish is what this one is, 7 SAUM bright. If you do not order the bright, you'll just be able to see the annealing mark. That's the only difference there. Atlas Development Group is based out of Kentucky. Everything is American made, and they have a guy on their engineering team who helped invent the Remington Ultra Mag line, working for Remington, that now works for Atlas Development Group. So that's definitely the guy you want on your crew if you're coming up with some short action Ultra Mag brass. Very cool stuff. Atlas Development Group is an awesome company. They make super high quality brass. Now if we get a look, so trying to get this thing to focus down inside on that flash hole, it's hard to tell, but there are no burrs on that flash hole. So right out of the gate, Atlas Development Group, they control their manufacturing process enough to where they do not get burrs. It's actually part of their manufacturing process. They don't deburr it, it just never had them. So this is a deburring tool. This one's from K&M. This one's got a little stop on it so you don't over drill into your brass and ruin it. This thing's like $12 off Midway. Really sweet little piece of kit. Highly recommend picking one up. But I will not be needing it for this brass prep. If I were to use a different company that had burrs inside of it, I definitely would be using that. Now, the dies that I have for the Ultra Mag is the 7mm Remington SAUM from Redding. This is a Type S bushing style full length sizing die. That's a mouthful. Anyway, what that means is I've got a full length die that a bushing up top controls the neck tension. That way I can change out bushings and control my neck tension to what I really want. They suggest taking a cartridge, a dummy round, stuffing your bullet of choice in there, and then measuring the outside of the brass. You should subtract 1 to 2 thousandths, and that'll give you your bushing diameter. I did that and it came up with 314 to 313 bushing size, and so I ordered 2 just in case one was too large and I wasn't getting enough neck tension. So brand new out of the box, a couple of them just in the manufacturing process, maybe the necks weren't perfectly cylindrical, so I ran them over my expanding mandrel, which again is from K&M Shooting here. This is a neck turning expanding mandrel. This one is oversizing this brass just a little too much to where there's no neck tension. On my 6.5 Creedmoor, the mandrel for it has enough neck tension to where when I neck expand that, it's done. But with this 7mm and this brass in particular, it's expanding it a little bit too much and I'm not getting enough neck tension once that's done. So I am then taking the brass, I'm running it over the neck expanding mandrel, I'm greasing the inside of it up with Redding Imperial sizing die wax. This stuff's really awesome, just like a goo. If you're ever resizing anything like converting calibers or you got a lot of pressure going on, throw in some Imperial sizing die wax. This stuff's awesome. I think it's like 10 bucks. That thing will last you forever. So I'm lubing up the inside of the case neck with the sizing die wax, running it over the expanding mandrel. This screw hits the bottom when it hits the bottom, so that I don't crush the neck into the top of this. The screw is my stop. Once it kind of gets a good coating on there, it stays pretty lubed up. Then we'll slide it up, pop it out, and she's all done. And change the overall length that you want. So after it was neck expanded, then it was time to neck size it. Now this is where things may be different for you. I checked the headspace of a fired piece of brass. I actually have 5 rounds that I fired out of my rifle. You can see here it's got primers in it. So I checked the headspace. So I used the Hornady body comparator tool that measures halfway down the shoulder. It just clamps on your calipers. And I checked the headspace of the rifle. Then I compared it against the brand new brass. The brand new brass, on average, was 1/1000th to 2/1000ths shorter than the chamber. Perfect, exactly where I wanted it. So I took the brass, and I did not want to bump the shoulder just because that's really unnecessary. If it's going to chamber in the rifle, all I really need to do is resize that neck and it's good to go. So I went and ran it up inside of my bushing die, and I set it to where Redding suggests screwing this all the way in until it touches your shell holder. I actually did that, and then I backed it out about 1/8 to 1/4 turn. That way it was not like pushing the shoulder at all. All it was really doing was touching the case neck with the inside of the bushing die. So let's tear this thing apart. I'll give you guys an idea how this thing works. So obviously this top ring up here, as you move this up and down, that will control where the bushing, how far down the bushing goes. Now you've got a bunch of threads going on down here. If we look at just these threads and then this little stopper here, that controls how far the decapping pin comes out of the bottom of the die. So as you screw this in or out, and also as you screw the top in or out, that's going to change the overall length of your decapping pin. Now what's cool about this is a bushing die, so if we take the bushing out, now there's nothing that's going to touch the neck of the brass. This is a Redding body die. Simple as that. And then here's the interchangeable part that allows you to control your neck size. They are labeled. This one's 314 Redding. And then they just drop down inside your die. Now they're able to move in there. I don't know if you guys can hear that or not, but that bushing is allowed to float in there just a few thousandths. And what that does is it allows your brass to get centered up in there, and it really creates less run out in your brass. It's not forcing one side over. It's just naturally resizing the neck of the brass. So the way that you're supposed to set your bushing is you take this guy, you thread it all the way in until it comes in contact with the bushing. You can see that this collar here is free to rotate. This is not what's stopping it. It's actually this whole thing running into that bushing. So Redding says you go down in there and then you back out just 1/8 of a turn or 1/16, and then you tighten up that collar. And then by the end of this, when you shake it again, you should be able to hear your bushing moving around. And so that's allowed a free float, but because it's so close to that, it's not allowing your bushing to get pushed way up. So that's how you control the neck tension on my brass. At that point, it was all covered in Redding resizing grease, because I had done the inside of the case mouth, the outside, and then just a little bit on the body because I didn't want it getting stuck in my full length sizing die. So I just lubed it up just a bit, and it was able to slide in and out with no problem. So at that point, I threw it in my ultrasonic cleaner, threw it in my dry media tumbler to dry it, as well as put a little bit of a polish on it. Obviously this stuff's beautiful right out of the box, but once you get it all lubed up, it had lost a little bit of its shimmer. But this stuff is ready to be primed, powder, and bullet, and then it's time to hit the range. So that's how I do my brand new brass prep. If you guys are interested in any of the Atlas Development Group line, I do have a discount code WDS10 for 10% at checkout. Check the description. There's a link to their website, and my code is right there for you to read and remember. So I really appreciate you guys watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope this gave you a little insight as to what I do for my brass prep. Thank you very much. We will talk to you guys in the next video.